Hello, I'm Peter Byers. I'm the owner, the founder and the managing director of Simple Software Tools Limited. Now this video is all about the follow-up, that's making some use of the project that you should have looked at called Business is a Living Organism. Now first of all we need to check that you've actually seen and understood the project and the concepts of the project called Business is a Living Organism. If you haven't, you should go back and look at livingorganism.co.uk. At the moment it only works on Internet Explorer. Hopefully we'll get it to work in other browsers fairly soon. Now go back, look at that, read the introduction carefully, and then go on to then come back here when you've looked, learnt, understood the concept and enjoyed the development of the thing that is the story of companies, that is the story of companies being or should be a living organism. Now here is the picture of the living organism that you will be familiar with if you've seen the original diagram being built up. The ovals I call functions, and the lines flowing between them are the data that flows from or in between each of the functions. And if you've actually looked, you'll see that the diagram shows data whizzing backwards and forwards between the functions. Now there are 7 parts to the follow-up, and the first 4 of them can be carried out simultaneously, not by the same person but by 4 or more people. So that can reduce the length of time that it takes to use this follow-up for your own business. Now once again it all starts with you having looked and understood the original proposal. If you haven't, as I said earlier, you need to go back and understand it and then come back here. Now the first of these steps is to expand the top level functions. Just saying manage stores doesn't really communicate very much, does it? There are lots of functions that top level function can be split up into, so we need to go through all of the functions and split them up down to their basic parts. And there will be another video that explains this in more detail. Now the second part is to design and record an organisation chart. Now if your business is just a one-man business, then it's not going to take you very much time to do that, is it? If you've got a huge multinational, then you already have an organisation, and you might want to take the opportunity to think about if it can be improved. So record an organisation chart, and there will be another video about this as well. And the third one is to develop database designed, so one needs to go through all of the top level functions and say what data do we want to hold, do we need to hold within these functions. And there'll be another video about that, surprise, surprise. Now the fourth one is to go through each of the functions and specify or work out or describe what tools you need to have to be able to record and view and process the data in the databases. I mean, the sort of thing is you would need a tool or a web page or whatever to add new items to the item data files. You would need a web page or a tool, call it what you like, to look at the contents of the data for items. You would need one to modify items, and you would need others to update various different bits of the item file. And maybe you'd want these all split up so that different tools would deal with different types of item. But anyway, you can guess what I'm going to say. There'll be a video describing this as well. Now the fifth follow-up item is to design things called toolboxes, tool sets. For each of the functions and sub-functions there will be a set of tools that people carrying out those functions need to use. Now, if you have tool sets for each function, when you employ, I don't know, a new person to receive goods into the stores, a goods receiving person, then it will be a very simple job to allow him to use the store's inwards toolbox. So you need lots and lots of tool sets, but it'll save many hours in the future. So that's the fifth one, and once again there will be a video about it. The sixth follow-up item is to delegate the functions. Ultimately, the managing director or the chief executive is responsible for all of the functions working properly. But he'd be one hell of a fella for a multinational if he could do them all himself. He wouldn't need any staff then, would he? So what he does is says, well, I've got all of these people or organisational places, and I've got all of these functions, and I'm going to delegate the functions down to the various different parts of the organisation chart. And once again there'll be a video all about that. Now finally, the seventh and last part of the follow-up is to connect all of the tool sets up to the functions. And again there'll be a video about that. Now finally, it's the eighth part. One of the dreams I have is of having a fully animated diagram that you can say, right, I'm going to generate a purchase order from an outside customer, in other words a sales order to our organisation, and I'm going to watch it ripple through all of the functions, and we'll see the data passing along the lines. You'll be able to pause it and look in detail at the data. You could say, I'm going to amend the stock control parameters. Now let's see in the accounts areas what difference that will make to capital invested. Now that will be the most wonderful demonstration teaching aid that you could imagine. It will be a hell of a lot of work, but I'm determined to have a go at it, and surprise surprise, there will be an 8th video after the 7 follow-up bits, a video about the fully animated demonstration. Right, that's it. That's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.